Welcome back to another Use-Tried video, guys. A lot of you now own EUCs, either for the first time or you've been riding since the very first model. In either case, many of us have been bitten by the speed bug. When you first got an EUC, speed probably wasn't the first thing on your mind, but after a few falls and getting more acquainted with your device, speed seems to be the next natural thing to achieve. So how do we achieve more speed and maintain it without the worry of cutting out? Well, there's been a phrase floating around the EUC community for a little bit now, and it's the phrase torque it. But what does it actually mean to torque it? In short, the use-tried definition of torque it is the act of causing intermittent acceleration on an EUC to increase speed without overleaning. You can support use-tried by purchasing a torque it shirt in the use-tried store, which you can access by clicking the merchandise link in the description below. Thanks for your support, guys. So the idea is simple. There are many ways to increase acceleration of your wheel. Number one, by leaning into it. The disadvantage of that is you are literally leaning into the wheel, which can cause a cutout depending on your weight, and also if you hit a bump or obstacle while furiously leaning into it, there might not be enough time to pull back and save yourself. Again, that all depends on your skills and weight. Number two, you can do what I do, which is implementing my riding style, which I coined the grasshopper, because I'm usually lifting up my right heel while pressing my toes into the front part of the pedal and using my knee to force acceleration. I also use my upper body to help with acceleration or torque, but the lean is very minimum. Whichever method you choose, the idea is to cause enough acceleration as needed, therefore increasing your speed, but not entirely maintaining that acceleration. You want more acceleration, but just enough to maintain your speed or increase it slightly or ever so slightly. The major benefit here is that you can maintain a high rate of speed over a stretch without having to worry about cutting out due to overleaning for a long duration. The point is to maintain a certain speed with very little effort on your part. In my personal experience, this is a much better approach when speeding because you can, number one, see the cutout coming before it happens. Basically, there are no surprises. So let's say you're about to cut out because your speed keeps increasing on a stretch, for example. The motor will start to sag, causing your pedal to dip forward. This is in case all your safety is off. At this point, you can then pull back, allowing the motor to come back to life, ultimately avoiding a crash. In contrast, if you are overleaning or leaning hard, as some say, by the time the motor starts to sag, you will have overshot the limit of the motor, which will result in a crash. Number two, it's also better in sharp turns when you have to slow down before increasing your speed again coming out of the turn. The method of hard leaning into your wheel while coming out of a turn works. However, there's more lag time than torquing it out of the turn. Torquing it, which is causing a burst of initial acceleration, seems to be the best approach for increasing your speed in a very short period. If you don't like overleaning, which you shouldn't, or you have a hard time implementing the use-tried method, then many swear by the power pads, which is yet another way to vastly increase acceleration on your EUC.
Right, you're gonna bolt down. You don't want to lose your speed, but you're gonna have to. So how are you gonna gain it back? Torque it. Out here. Pull out. You bolt. You know what I'm saying? That's how you do it. I personally use my knees to force the pedal. This part of the pedal down. You know what I mean? Down. While this part right here, you know, forces it forward. I personally don't like overleaning. I don't like leaning into my acceleration. So that's my method of torquing. leaning, by literally lifting your heel, pressing into the pedal, while you're pushing your knees forward. There are many ways to torque, you know what I mean? But for me, the safest way is the way I just demonstrated. The thing about torquing, especially in situations like this, you have a stretch and you want to ride fast, but you don't want to lean into it because you know if you hit a bump or anything or it cuts out, you're done. There's no recourse. So in situations like this, torquing is king. Of acceleration in a very short space of time. And with leaning, a lot of people, what they do is they lean to continue the acceleration. You don't have to do that with torquing. Torquing gives you the acceleration you need, and if you want to maintain that, you just don't lean back. You just keep straight up. Basically, you're letting your knee do the work, like this. Your knee do the work. Well, that's how I do it. Some people do it like this. Some people do it like this. Me, this. It's what they're doing, but just... Anyway, imagine when you first start riding, you push it to the hardest, and all you do is cruise. You cruise. You can cruise at 37, you can cruise at 35, whatever. But if you feel like you want to go a little more, torque it. So guys, one thing I noticed this from a video that Black Cobra made the other day. This part of my tire is almost bald. And this side is, it's like I didn't, well, it has more traction. And this is primarily because of how I ride. I made it a new tire. Wow. Let me see if I can bring this close so you guys can see. So, if you look, you see how smooth it is? This side is very smooth and this side is more traction. And that's primarily because of how I ride. I basically ride, as you guys know already, but you know, I ride like this, right? I ride with one foot forward, but when I'm riding fast, this side is leaning tightly on this leg. This way. Because this side is more relaxed. So technically I'm riding like this. Like this. This is how I usually ride. Like this. Because my body is leaning, it's countering the wobble. So basically I never get wobbled because I'm always countering what could possibly happen. I'm not going to change my riding style, but it's just something interesting to note. That's what torquing is about, guys. It's really about, you know, it's intermittent bursts of acceleration, allowing you to gain more speed without having to lean into it for a long duration. So it's like this. Let me explain it. Maybe you guys will get it even better. It's like this, right? You go, and you're walking. It's like, it's like this. You're running, right? You're running. But let's say someone's running with you at a high rate of speed, but you don't want to burn yourself out. So what you want to do is run and go, whoa, and calm down again. That's basically what it is, in short. Anyway, I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but that's what torquing is, man. It's a lot of fun.